Okay. Okay. We have a nice group today. That's very nice. So I hope everybody is healthy and happy. And I apologize, my voice is a little bit off today. Again, I'm just kind of have one of these that that one of these weird infections that's going around. So if my voice stalls out for a couple of seconds, I'll just turn off the mic and make horrible hacking noises and things like that. And you'll have to forgive me. So so if we remember the beginning of Psalm 60, okay, so and if you have this edition, the one I recommended, that's page 292 to 93, or really we're going to be going back and forth between the Hebrew and the English. So any edition of Psalms will do. Um, but if you have that, um, you remember in the very we started at the very beginning, and one of the things I said is that the introductions at the beginning are a little vague, right? So here it says, let's say for the conductor on a rose-shaped instrument. This we don't know what this Shushan is. So one is that this is a musical notation of some kind, or that this is some sort of a, or that this is some kind of a string instrument, and it's Michtab David Lamed. Lamed. It is a melody by David, and it's Lamed to learn, to study. So that would be a good question.
Finally
The
got
question to
myself
kind of
set
keep
up
in
here, Adam.
mind is, what does it mean for why would the psalm particularly be, for the purpose of study, as opposed to other psalms which are for the purpose of advice or something else. So think about that. So it starts out at the very beginning, and then gives you this kind of context. And starts out, "B'chatzoto et Rav Naraim ve'et Aram tzova yashav Yoav v'yachet Edom b'gei melech Shnemasa Aleph." It says so they waged war against the kingdoms of Aram Naharaim and Aram Soba, and his general Yoav returned, struck Edom in the Valley of Salt, inflicted 12,000 casualties. So this is actually a campaign in the north of Israel, right? So uh, this is all in the area of the kind of in Lebanon, and um, there were attacks coming from the north, and so uh, David's armies were repelling attacks from the north, and so that's kind of the context. That's the context that's kind of given to this. Again, uh, I don't know how much you want to put into that. I don't put a lot into those. I don't put a lot into those contexts. So he starts out Elohim Zanachtanu. He says, God, you have abandoned us. And the theology here, it's important. It's important is that if he's describing a war, so if that's the case, if he's describing a war and he's describing a military campaign in which there's been ups and downs, um, it's it's interesting that he describes it in terms of his relationship with his relationship and the collective relationship with God, and that he sees these the ups and downs of the war as being related to God's attitude towards us, right? It's not, we didn't fight hard enough, or we did fight hard enough, but that the success or failure in battle is a reflection of God's attitude towards us. And he says, Elohim Znachtanu, he says, you've abandoned us. Piratztanu, and you separated from us. You made us vulnerable. Anafta, and you became furious. Toshev says, and then stops. Teshovev lanu says, literally restore yourself to us, right? Return to us. Restore your favor to us. So he's seeing the potential the failures of battle, as being a kind of punishment from God, and really that God is of a kind of an anger of God. It says to hirashta eretz. Um, so hirashta literally means to be made noisy. To be made noisy. The land is made noisy. Here he says that you cause the land to thunder with invaders, right? Of course, that's very nice. It adds a little bit of context to it, but really it's that you made the earth, loud. You made the earth kind of roar with noise. Um, Pitamta, and you broke it apart. Rafash shavareha ki mata. He says, and and repair, literally, like to heal. It's to heal. It's broken. It's brokenness. It's fragments. Ki mata, because they have fallen. They have fallen below. I have to take this. I'm sorry. It's just a financial thing. Hold on one second. I really apologize for that. Um, just a financial thing I have to take care of. Thank you. Thank you so much. I apologize. Okay. Um, so he says you have so repair, it's broken, it's fragments. Um, it's a beautiful expression. Rafa really just not just to repair, but really can mean to heal. Right? To heal what's broken, kind of imagining kind of the metaphor, imagining the country as this kind of body that's broken kimata because it is low, because it's fallen low. Vizhiriti amcha kasha. It says, and you were kasha means literally like hard. You were stern, you were tough. You were tough with your people. Mishkitanu yayin tarela, and it says giving us the wine. I mean, I love. Another translation of this: the wine of stupefaction. Um, Tarela is a particular kind of um, deep sleep, particularly kind of deep sleep, a kind of wine that makes you completely, you know, completely lose your consciousness. And so the it's it's that, not only not only have the people have become, because of these defeats, they've become completely lost and confused. Um, and of course, that's not literal. It's not literal wine, right? It's the elixir of confusion. Um, and it says, "Natata lirecha." It says, you gave to those who feel you, nest, nate, and nes, lihit noses. So a nes, the word nes, the basic meaning is flag. The basic meaning is a flag. Interestingly, it's also the word for miracle. Because if you think about it, what is a miracle? A miracle is a sign, right? It's something that shows the presence. So kind of imagine you're in the middle of a battle, right? And you see the nace, you see the battle banner in the middle of the war. That shows you that the general, right? That shows that your general is still alive, right? That shows you that you're still in the fight, right? If you look around and you don't see your flag, you know you're in big trouble, right? So it shows. So it's a sign. It's a visible sign of presence. So here it says those who fear you, right? Nes didnoses. Now, so literally could mean, right, that they raise your flag, right? That they raise your flag, that they draw attention to your presence. Now, a nes also is related to the word, okay, nisayon, which means a trial, something which is difficult, right? So that's how he translates it here. He says, "Nes noses" means many troubles as a trial, right? Really, very, very, really very interesting, right? But I would say that all those levels are there. Whenever you see the word "nes," whenever you see this word, it has the indication. It indicates something which reveals God's presence, right? Which reveals God's presence and simultaneously acts as a challenge for us, and something which is going to be transformative of our character, going to be transformative of our society, transformative of us in some way. So all of those things are there. Mifnei says koshet sela, says in order to show that you are just, and it's interesting. The word this there's a disagreement whether this word is kloshet or this word is keshet. Um, and the word keshet usually means a bow. So, but it's a strange. Let me just see what he does with this for 1 second. Uh, okay, so here Steinsaltz does it like this: you have given those who fear you a banner to wave, okay, because of your truth. That's okay. Well, we can go with that, right? So those people who fear you, they have a banner to wave. They're able to kind of show your presence in the middle of the battlefield. Uh, Mifnei kosher because of your truth. Laman yachatsun yedidecha. So your beloved may be rescued. Hoshea yiminecha ya'aneni. It says, and please with your right hand, uh, uh, please save with your right hand and answer me. So now he's moved into the area of he's now moved into a prayer, right? He moves into his prayer that please save me with your right hand. The right hand is always the hand of kindness, right? Always hand of kindness. So very, very often you'll see a reference to the right hand. That's the hand of gentleness, the hand of kindness, the hand of mercy. Uh, Raneni, and to answer me. And we've seen many times how he talks. You know, he talks to God about not answering, right? About the pain of not being answered, right? To call out and not to answer, and how important it is to be answered. Elohim diber b'kodsho, and God spoke in His holiness, and there's, you know, so one way of understanding shows God spoke in His holiness in the abstract sense of holiness could also mean that God spoke in His sanctuary, right? That this was an experience that happened in God's sanctuary. Kodesh could also refer to the physical place at the at the heart of the temple. Um, but that's one way that's one way that even I think Rashi understands it that way, but not just have to. It can be left like this. In His holiness, God declared, it says Eloza. He says that I will rejoice. Ahalka Shechem. It says I will Ahalka Shechem the Emek Sukkot Amadid. It says, it said, I'm going to divide for Israel our enemy's property, the measure for the valley of Sukkot. So now he's talking about all these various places that are going to that he's going to acquire. It says Li Gilgal, Vali Menashe. It says Gilgal is mine, Menashe is mine, Ephraim Me'oz Roshi. He says Ephraim will be my chief fortress. Nathan's got his hand up physically and
Sorry.
emojically.
I wanted to correct Lee Gilad.
Yes.
I
Oh, did
believe he
what did I
said
say?
Gilgal.
Oh, so I'm sorry. Lee Gilad. Sorry about that. Okay. So Lee Gilgal, really? That's what I said? Okay. Okay, you're right. Okay. Lee Gilad. Lee Menashe v'Ephraim Ba'oz Roshi Yehuda Mechokeki. He says, so is Ephraim will be my chief fortress. My laws will, he says, Mechokeki, and I will issue laws from in Yehuda, or that Yehuda will be my lawgiver, will be my lawgiver. Moav Sirachti, he says, and Moav I will use as my wash basin. I have no idea what that means. I can't remember what Rashi said about that, but I guess it sort of makes a sense, right? It's going to be mine to use as I want. I guess that's, that you're going to be my sink. I guess that's interesting thing to say about a former enemy. It says Eladom Ashlich Nali, it says, and the kings of Edom, I'm going to send into lockup. I'm gonna send them into lockup. I'm gonna lock them up. Like and actually interesting. I think most um and this last one, this is Alai Pleshet uh Titroi Titro Titroi um, is usually understood as a question, right? Are the sounds of the says are the Philistine are this because it's not he takes it backwards here. He says the sound of the trumpet over the Philistines, but it's not the sound of the trumpet over the Philistines. It's the sound of the Philistines' trumpet over us. So he says, and are the Philistines going to, are the Philistines going to blow their trumpets over us, over me, right? He says, me, I'm going to be victorious, right? I'm going to be victorious. That nobody's going to beat me. Okay, I'm going to take Ephraim, I'm going to take Manasseh, I'm going to take all of these places. I'm going to use Moab as my wash basin, right? I'm going to use, right? Right? Uh, and as I said, I'm one of the least warlike people I know. So this is not this is a war poem. This is a war poem, and I don't know what to say about that, but there it is. So he says, will with trumpet of the Philistines, right, sound over me? And the answer is no. He says, uh, Mi yovelenu ir matzor, so mi min nachani ad Edom. So who will bring me to Esau's fortified city? Who will lead me against Edom? Now, the next line is interesting because it sounds very victorious, right? It sounds very victorious. And the commentators have a problem with the next line because, okay, you're describing you're going to win everything, right? You're going to be winning over Moab. You're going to be winning over you're going to be in control of all the tribes, right? And then you just said, right? Who will bring me to Esau's fortified city? Who will lead me against Edom? Right? Am I going to, right? You're going to go against the kingdom of Edom. And now he says again, Halo ata Elohim zachtanu. Says, God, have you now forsaken us? Right? Have you now forsaken us? Are you going to abandon us? Right? Are you going to abandon us? If we go up against, right, Edom, are you going to abandon us? Now, according to some commentators, this is a kind of prophetic moment because he's looking off into the future and he's seeing that Edom, for uh, which later becomes associated with the power of Rome. Okay, and we could go into why that is and all of that. That's a complicated thing, but it comes associated with the power of Rome. And he's sort of wondering to himself, okay, is this going to be a long-term victory or is this a short-term victory? I may be victorious over Edom now, but sooner or later we're going to have to deal with them. Um, and so he's experiencing this sense of this kind of inner doubt about whether or not there's really going to be a victory um, over Edom, which is going to become great in the future. It says, Lo tetz Elohim b'tzivotenu. It says, and God, are you no, put this, it's either a question or it's a statement. Either it's God, you're not going out with our armies, and it's a complaint, right? And saying, why are you not coming out with the armies? Why are you not present with us? Why is it that we feel like we're alone out there? Or it's a question, are you really not going to be with us? Right? Because he's seeing the ultimate victory of Edom. He's seeing that Rome eventually will rule. And he's saying, does that mean that you're not going to come out and fight with us now? He says, Belohim naaseh chayil. And says, and through God we will become courageous. Chayil, become brave, virtuous, courageous. All of those things will become people of quality and bravery. It says, Vahu Yabus Tsarenu. It says, and he will stamp out our foes. Right? Yabus, literally like, crush. He will crush out our foes. And that's how the Tehillim ends, with crushing out our foes. So what do we think? Do we have anybody here who's enthusiastic about war poetry? I need somebody who's enthusiastic. Yeah, Jonas and you're
No, no, no.
yeah,
Not enthusiastic, but I am curious.
help us out.
I don't know. I wanted to, yeah, I corrected you earlier about Gilad because it's a verse that has come to my attention around 10 years ago when I saw it painted in a summer camp as a memorial for a young man named Gilad who was kidnapped and murdered.
Right.
And Li Gilad v'li Menashe Ephraim Ma'oz Roshi Yehuda Mechokeki. And I was like, so where is this verse from? And so yeah, and so that's how I came across this verse. And so when I heard you read it as Gilgal and then translate it as Gilgal, I wanted to correct it, Gilad. And yeah,
Gilad.
this is a land that is important to the Israelites, though I'm very curious about how long it was held for. And it, yeah, I think it's in Jeremiah where they say, is there any balm in Gilead?
Right. Right.
And
I'm not going to sing the song, but I really want to.
I just know there's a song. I don't know the tune, but yeah.
Yeah.
Or is there no balm in Gilead? And I think it was Edgar Allan Poe who says, is there any balm in Gilead? Despairing, he asked that. But there's also a song, There Is a Balm in Gilead.
Yeah.
And So yeah, this is the way I read it is first he talks about like the core territories, like Yehuda, they're proud of it, Ephraim, they're proud of it, Gilead, they're proud of it, and Menashe, they're proud of it. But then they say Moab, when we get you, you're just going to be our wash basin,
Right,
like because they never did manage to conquer the Moabites
right,
completely. That's how I read it. And Edomites, when we get you, we'll throw our shoe at you, and that's how I read it as like wishful
right.
thinking, like, and I don't subscribe to that way of thinking, but I'm trying to put myself in their headspace. And then at the end of the verse, they're like, wait, but we haven't been victorious over them yet.
Right, right, right. I think that that's the right. Yeah, and it's a strange it's strangely triumphant at the end, given the fact that you just expressed that you're not triumphant, which is it just
Say that I think this is like the human condition, like the way he, like, as I keep saying that about David, like he's so real. Like, cause he's talking about how, he's talking all this smack about how he's gonna, do all these things. And then like a human start to think about like the reality of it and be like, okay, well, God, you're really on my side, right? So I've always liked how this, no matter what we're talking about, if it's war or whatever, it always is like, you feel so sure about yourself. And then when you think about it, then you're not so sure anymore. So I don't know. That's what I get out of it. I can't really, well, sometimes I'm in a fighting mode, but like I'm not right now. I can't really relate to this war thing, but I think ultimately it's just all about like how we have multiple things in our hearts and they don't always align.
yeah, and I think that that's fair, and we all have to weather kind of the ups and downs of the battle, and at various points and various points in the battle, things look very different, you know. So, okay. The next one is a little bit more prayer-like, um, and also also quite beautiful. Um,
Excuse me, may I add something?
oh yes, please.
Okay. So for me, my interpretation of Moab is my wash basin. For me, how I interpret that is like Moab is like a purification process because when you're washing, you're doing away with impurities. So that was my
I like
interpretation
that.
of that.
I like that. That's nice. Yeah, I like that. Kind of like my place to purify myself. I like it. Thank you. Good. Good, good, good. Okay. Nathan, can I talk you into a reading of 61?
Yes. למנצח על נגינת לדוד, שמע אלוהים רינתי, הקשיבה תפילתי, מקצה הארץ אליך אקרא, לעטוף ליבי, בצור ירום ממני תנחני, כי היית מחסה לי, מגדל עוז מפני אויב, הגורה באוהלך עולמים, אחסה בסתר כנפיך סלע, כי אתה אלוהים שמעת לנדרי, נתת ירושת יראי שמך, ימים על ימי מלך תוסיף, שנותיו כמו דור ודור, ישב עולם לפני אלוהים חסד ואמת, מן ינצרוהו, כן אזמרה שמך לעד, לשלמי נדרי, יום יום.
Beautiful. I love the yom yom. Beautiful at the end. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So again, it said we start out Lam Nasef. This is an instruction for the conductor. Al Niginat, David says, and this is Niginat seems to be some kind of instrument. We don't know exactly what kind of an instrument that is, but some sort of a stringed instrument. And okay, the David. So he starts out says, Shema Elohim Rinati. Says God hear my literally my singing. He translates it here as hear my cry, which is interesting because Rina is almost exactly the opposite of a cry. I'm not sure exactly why He translates it that way. Maybe that's he's following Rashi, but literally means is God hear my singing. Rina usually means a joyous kind of singing, not a crying. So I'm not sure what translation is. So God hear my singing. Hakshiva tfilati, and says, please listen to my prayer. Right? Pay attention to my prayer. Miktseh haaretz. The translator did interesting things with this. So Miktseh haaretz, from the end of the world, from the end of the world, Elecha kra, I call to you. This, and I love this. I love this verse because there's, the you know, at least from an emotional point of view, there's sometimes we feel like we're so far away from God, that God is so far away from us that we're literally at the ends of the earth. Like we've been kicked to the curb, so far, that it feels like we're, uh, somebody once said to me that I was talking about why it was so hard to pray. And he said, because you're praying over the abyss between the finite and the infinite, right? There's this there's this big abyss that can feel like that, and it feels like there's this great distance. Now, it may not be that there is that great distance. It may be that that's an illusion, but we do definitely feel it. So he says, so from the corners of the earth, it says, Elecha cry, I will call to you. So it's about Be'atov libi. It says in the when my heart is faint, when my heart is weak. It says B'tzur yarum mimeni tancheni. It says, and guide me against a rock that is high above me. Um, that you know when I feel like when he translates nice here is when my spirit dims, when my heart grows weak, when my spirit dims, when I'm not myself, um, take me take me to a boulder, take me to a tsur, a rock that's showing me. Very often God is referred to as the tsur, as the rock, as the stone. And it's a very interesting image. It's an image of solidity, an image of, trustworthiness. It's when if you're a traveler and you're trying to kind of keep track of where you're going, you're going to look for big landmarks, right? All those things, all those things in the symbolism of the rock. I remember what was one of the insurance companies didn't have the symbol of the Rock of Gibraltar, right? It's kind of to feel, solidity that we're as solid as the Rock of
Good
Gibraltar.
marketing.
Yeah, great. Yeah, it was great marketing. Um,
Sorry for spamming the chat.
That was
But I
Prudential,
remember, you know.
Prudential Insurance. It was Prudential,
Oh,
Prudential
oh,
Insurance.
yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm-hmm.
So
You want
what?
to sell
Tell me,
Gibraltar.
tell me about what's in the chat here.
The chat here is a quote we actually spoke about, the Carl Jung quote about like, my soul, where are you? Like, can you hear me? Where am I? Like, help me, kind of thing. And I remember it's just like, I'm asking, where are you? I think I've sent it to you before, but and you were, so I didn't mean to spam, but I figured I'd just send the whole
Hold on
piece.
1 second.
It's pretty. It's pretty and profound and heavy and true to life, I think.
I apologize again. Once again, I'm in the process of some financial thing, and it's been issue. Okay. Okay. Have to switch ways of thinking. Um, so Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really very beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay. Um, so he continues, Ki hayita machseli. You've always been you've been a refuge for me. Migdal oz b'mfnei oyev. You've been a strong fortress against my enemies. And both of those things against images of protection. And then agura bahal ba my brain is not working today. Vahalcha says olamim. It says and let me dwell. Agura means to dwell temporarily, which is I guess what one does, like in your tent. Olamim eternally. And so it's interesting. Let me dwell in your tent, tent eternally, and again imagine. I love to watch these. I love to watch these Bedouin dramas, right, where the people have these. You're in the middle of people are in the middle of the desert, and all of a sudden there's this tent, and the person is thirsty, and they're welcomed in. They're given their coffee and everything else. Right? The tent is protection in a place where there is no protection. And he says so. I want to dwell in your tent, and even the temple itself is often referred to as the tent of God. It says, "Echse b'seter kanafecha selo." Let me shelter in the shadow of your wings. I've mentioned before that's kind of the image of the mother bird.
Yes. I see the market going down.
Badly.
Going.
Yep.
Okay, if we could just mute. Okay.
Mhm.
The so the mother bird mother bird sheltering the little baby birds under the wings on the nest, right? In order to protect. So I'm going to stop there. Because it takes a little bit of a turn at this point. So I'll stop here, and it's 1:44, and my brain is kind of cooked from not feeling well. So I can take my break. So thoughts. Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, I'll see everybody on Wednesday. Hopefully, I'll be healthier on Wednesday. I won't be distracted by my financial things on Wednesday, and everything will be good. So, thank you very much for your patience. I appreciate it so much, and have a beautiful day.
You too.
Feel well.
Thank
Bye.
Bye.
Refuah shlema.
Thank you.
Thank you.